Somebody said it went down. The live feed did. When did it go down? Was you able to hear me when I was discussing Dr. Ken Harsberger?
I've been having problems with mine for a while now. It keeps stopping and freezing up like this and spinning. But I thought you were still talking because I wasn't seeing anybody saying frozen, you know, like they usually do.
Right. It went down? They're saying, everybody's saying it went down.
Now it's saying mine is cutting out. Everyone else. This is your video.
Yeah, I started a new one. Did everybody that's on here, can you hear me and everything clear? At Fayette City and the truck. No, it did shut down. No, hello. Alright. It ended for me when Mary Ann was talking. Went down after you talking about the truck not having the seed. Alright, well, what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start. This is now the coroner. I'm going to replay what the coroner and me were discussing. This is about the autopsy, and then he goes into other stuff. Can everybody hear me real good, though? Alright, I got a yes. July 20th. Trying to find out is when they profiled Mackenzie's DNA in 2012, did they send that into CODIS or anything?
When they got her DNA or when they got the partial?
The partial DNA.
To see if there's a match? I don't know the answer to that. They should have, because that's what we do, but I'm not. We had a partial Y. I don't know the answer. I'll have to find out for you. Because the first time when we redid those swabs, first they didn't get anything, and then we redid them. But another lab did them, and they didn't get anything. And then we looked at them and got the Y chromosome. So we knew there had to be a male involved, but I don't know that there's actually. Well, there has to be a profile because somebody got compared to it.
Right.
Let me find out. I can't imagine it's not submitted because I think it's automated. But I'll find out later.
Okay. Now, when they did the like zooming on her, and I know you did that one, and I know that the sheriff's office took the samples. They didn't let you guys take them back to Montgomery County. They took them.
Yes.
What was there you were looking for?
We were just getting new samples, new swabs.
Because the prosecutor told me that you guys were checking her body, the outer part of her body.
Well, we did that. That's just the reason. The only reason it was there was because they wanted to do more DNA swabs, see if they could get a better profile. My understanding, we did that. We looked at the outside of her body, but that's not why we were there. We were there to collect more swabs.
From the areas that you collected before when you first did it?
Yes.
Okay, now, why wasn't any x-rays done on my daughter?
There wasn't.
No, because I got the only report I ever got from you guys' office was the toxology report, and it showed no x-rays.
Well, the autopsy report, we don't put the x-ray in any report. You wouldn't see it. The doctor just sees it. If there are any findings, it's included in the autopsy report. But in a fire death, we usually do x-rays. So, give me 2 seconds. I can look.
Okay, yes, sir.
Hang on. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
How do you spell your last name again?
B-R-A-N-H-A-M.
Okay.
And then hers was Mackenzie.
06, right?
06, April 27th.
I don't see, hang on one second. I don't see an x-ray copy in the folder right now, but I can't, we may not have done that because she's not, charged. Within a fire death, we usually do them in charge, but I could see no injury on her, so we may not have done them.
Well, my question with the x-rays, I mean, I know, like, looking at her on the outside, no injuries, but, you would think that our sheriff's office detective would have requested them just to make sure, her back wasn't broken, her...
That would have been, we look at all that internally, so the sheriff's office would have nothing to do with, they could ask me, but they wouldn't know enough to ask me. That's my job.
Okay.
So I see, the only reason to do an x-ray is to find pieces of metal if she was stabbed or shot.
Right.
Because I'm looking at all the bones inside, and I can see if she's, all the, other than some facial bones, the extremities with a minor fracture, I would see, I would see bruising over the side of fracture.
Right.
It's not, could you have missed a small something? Yes. Could I have interpreted a small something? No. I mean, wasn't she upstairs?
Yeah, she was upstairs on her bed. That's where she was found.
Yeah.
But no one could understand why she didn't get up.
Yeah.
And then I know you guys ruled it as, I guess it would be you guys.
Not a real manner.
Well, Manor, I'm sorry. That she had 68% carbon monoxide and smoke.
Yeah.
But the 68% carbon monoxide, I can't understand how a child that small could have that much carbon monoxide in her.
Well, it happens very quickly. That's why. So not getting up is explainable because you can breathe in it. People basically are breathing in smoke and never wake up, and it can get that high very quickly within 10, 15 breaths. If you're bringing enough concentration in, the carbon monoxide binds to the red blood cell exceedingly successfully. So it can get up high very quickly. That's actually a really high level.
Right. Wouldn't she though? Wouldn't she have stopped though? Because when I know people say don't ever Google stuff, but when I Google it said most children her size and weight at 35% she would have been dead.
That's not true. That is possible, but it's not necessarily true because the rate of rise can be very rapid. So it is true that they can die at that 30% level, but most of our cases are probably in the 50 to 60% this range. And what it has to do with the fire, how much smoke and how much oxygen is being, how much carbon monoxide is being put out. In a normal accidental fire, you may have a smoldering scenario where you're breathing in that lower level and they die at 30-40%. But if you're breathing in the fire is really intense very quickly,
right?
Then it can get higher, which is the suggestion what this fire was. So
right.
The concentration is not something I put a lot of stock in because I don't think it matters because you can't really tell any much about the number itself.
Okay.
Once it's in that lethal range, we see 80%. It's just whatever was going on with the fire in her caused that. I wouldn't really want to interpret a lot by that number and mean something.
Okay. Right. Well, what I know, because it said on the toxicology report that she had smoke in her larynx.
Yes.
But it didn't say nothing about her lungs.
Well, because the smoke doesn't get that far. Typically, we look in the upper airways, the bronchus, and that's where the airways begin to get smaller. And the way the lungs are designed, if you breathe in an artificial substance, it forces these right turns, so to speak. So things get deposited as you go along, the airways get smaller and smaller. You don't really get it out to the lungs far in the periphery.
Right.
Because the body's designed to filter it out, so, to keep pollutants out of the lung tissue itself.
Right.
And then the other point, we just don't look, it's just sort of a standard statement. We don't look down deep. We're just trying to show that it's in the air, in the trachea, in the upper bronchi, and once it's there, we know she's breathing in smoke.
Okay.
So it may not be mentioned just because it's not part of what we traditionally describe.
Right.
Because to communicate to another forensic pathologist, they just need to see that it's in the upper airways. It proves that it's been breathed in.
Now, what's the difference in a toxicology and a pathology test?
The toxicology is the blood work.
Right.
And then the autopsy report, I assume is what you mean by the pathology report. The autopsy report is my looking at the tissues.
Right.
The toxicology is what's done chemically on the blood to determine what's in there.
Okay.
There's really two reports. If you got our report, you got the autopsy report, which has an attached toxicology report.
The one I got, it says toxicology only. I didn't see nothing where it said pathology.
You should have, well, maybe you only got the tox report, but you should also have the other report we released is a post-mortem exam report.
Okay.
So,
and that's the actual pathology one?
That's the autopsy report, yeah.
Okay. Now, what about okay, I'm not disregarding what you did or anything. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Just like the, skin under the nails.
Why did we not look for that?
Yes.
We did when she comes back in, so we didn't look for that because it came in as just an accidental fire to us. We wouldn't do that. In 2006, we didn't do the swabs. After this case, we did it on almost all accidents. We just weren't doing it at the time because it's just with the house fire at home, accidental. We didn't have a concern, and that's why she came back here, because between the time that Dr. Gates sent her and the time we were doing the case, they discovered more information, and then he called back and said, hey, just do the swabs. So, brought her back to do the swabs. But in the beginning, when we were told about the case, it wasn't anything that more than a typical accidental house fire.
Well, the sheriff told me he sent her to you guys, the sheriff and the coroner, because Vernon Stanforth, the sheriff was in the hospital with my daughter, with Dr. Gay when he was doing his primary examination. And he said all he did was look at her, and then he picked up her panties, looked down inside of them, put them back down, flipped her over, looked at, the buttocks area, put the panties back down. They sent her to you guys because our hospital don't have a morgue.
Well, that's correct.
And so when you guys got her, it was a body coming in as an accidental fire, and she sat there, and then you guys called them, our funeral people. They came and got her because there was no questions at that time about anything else. And then they brought her back to Fayette County, and then 3 hours later, they took her back to you guys, and then you guys started the criminal part.
Correct.
Correct.
We do currently, yes and no. It is true. We do look. I look for injuries and trauma to take it out of an accidental fire. So what we didn't do the swabs at that time because there are no injuries, and then a girl her age, and intact, reasonably intact.
Right.
Sexual assault should lead, I should be, from at least an adult, should see that. There should be no trauma. It's possible, there's no penetration or something. And clearly we found the white chromosome, so something's going on. It's not, there's nothing, because we thought it was an accidental fire doesn't mean we weren't looking to give us indications that it might be something else on her. But what I understand is the scene changed, and that's when they got suspicious and then called us, Dr. Gay, asked if we did the swabs, and we said no, and that's when he sent her back.
Now, I saw where you guys said you swabbed her you swabbed the vagina area, the buttocks area, and the mouth.
Yeah.
And that was sealed in an envelope and sent to wherever it went, to your lab or whatever.
Yeah.
So that potential DNA came from one of those 3 areas.
Yeah.
And that was after you got more information about Mackenzie, and that's why she was sent back to you all, and then that's when you did the swabbing.
We didn't get, Fayette County, someone decided it was a case of concern, and that's when Dr. Gay called us and asked if we already do swabs, and we said no, and he sent her back. We didn't do any investigation and got more information. They did. Somewhere in Fayette County, somebody got more concerned about the case.
Right.
And that's when Gay called us and asked if we had done them. And because he had related I think when the case first came in, they had concerns, but they weren't related to us. And so we thought it was nothing more than a accidental fire.
Right.
When he called back he called back to make sure we had done the swabs. That's when he said, "Oh no, there's concerns here." And then we said, "Well, you got to send her back then because we weren't aware of concerns."
Right. Which is what the sheriff told me that was his error, was he shouldn't have listened to, his exact words was, I shouldn't have listened to Dr. Gay, and that was my fault. We sent her as an accidental fire, which is what you just confirmed with me. And then because I asked him, why did she go to Montgomery County? Why did she come back to Fayette County? Why did she go back to Montgomery County? And then that's when the sheriff was explaining his, point of it. What I couldn't understand is why the sheriff was in the hospital room with my daughter when Dr. Gates doing his own, primary examination himself.
Yeah, I can't answer that. That's up for them to.
And then, like I said, also the sheriff pronounced her dead at the scene. See, Dr. Gay never went to the scene, this crime scene, and saw my daughter and pronounced her dead. They met at the hospital with her.
Yeah, that's, whether it's right or wrong, that is the standard practice in most of rural Ohio. The coroners aren't, law enforcement takes charge of a lot of the stuff, and then the body's moved to the hospital. Declaring dead, he's allowed to. I mean, she's clearly dead. There wasn't a question about declaring, but, we wouldn't have allowed, we have a full-time investigative staff here, so in our county, the coroner, my representative, the investigator would have been there before she's moved, but that's just not Fayette County. That's not most of Ohio, because the coroner's offices don't have investigators, so law enforcement becomes that function. And then you look there at the hospital. There's not a problem with that, but when he does that exam at the hospital, it isn't uncommon or almost even standard for law enforcement to be there to understand what the doctor's seeing for their investigation purposes.
All right.
It's not uncommon. If you're for law enforcement to be law enforcement's often here. I can't remember if they were here for her. I doubt they were because it came as an accident. But typically cases that come in as homicides or potential homicides, there's an officer here during the autopsy because it allows for real-time exchange of information. Like, hey, I just see this injury. What do you guys know? If it's not supposed to be here, then you can go back right away and interview the suspect or whoever with real information in real time.
Right.
Amen. It is normal practice for law enforcement to be with the coroner and during exams, just so they can communicate effectively in real time.
But see, that's what I don't understand either. No photographs were taken of my daughter at Fayette County Hospital by Dr. Gay.
Well, that's again, unfortunately common. Particularly when they're sending the case in for an autopsy, because nothing would have changed. Nothing should have changed between the time he looks at her and then the time we're going to document it with photographs.
Right.
What the bad part of that is, it also often doesn't happen in a normal case that they're not sending for autopsy. It's just a function of rural corner Ohio.
Right.
Should we do better? Yes. Have we grown a lot since 2006? Yes.
Well, that's why I was saying, too, I was reading the laws, of a crime scene, which the fire marshal agreed with me. When it comes to a fatality in a fire, automatically you're supposed to treat it as a homicide and an arson and then prove it accidentally.
That is the standard with most deaths.
Standard.
Yes, that should be the standard.
Right, and they didn't do it this way. Instead, they ruled it as an accidental, and then found out later it wasn't an accidental. Which, when that happens, a lot of the stuff, because like when they brought my daughter out of the house, because I was reading the rules of Ohio, of a standard, procedures of what's common, what I call common. And the reason you rule it as an arson homicide, the fire marshal goes in to determine that fire. He tries to prove every reason that it wouldn't have been an accident. He has to make sure it wasn't electrical. He has to make sure, certain things, it wasn't this, that. Same thing with my daughter's body. It should have been ruled as a homicide until it was proven accidentally by the coroner's office. And they didn't do that. And my daughter, you're automatically supposed to place a body on a white sheet.
That's not true.
Because anything, when a body is burned, stuff falls off that body.
Well, yes.
And which could be evidence, like hair, somebody else's skin, anything, whatever was going on at the time when that person died. And that's so they could look at that sheet, because, white's easier to spot stuff that falls on it. But when you take my daughter, they put her in a bag, Marlowe's puts her in a bag and they send her to you guys. Then when they came and picked her up at Montgomery County and took her back, she put back in a bag. And those things were never, and I'm not saying you because you're not the investigator, that's the detective's job, but none of that was examined to see if anything fell off or any hair.
That's not true. I mean, it is true. When we get the bag in, we do look through the bag. So, yeah, by declaring it a homicide, they did not, I guess, declare it a homicide, but I think law enforcement and the coroner's office do look at those things. I don't think anyone puts the body on a white sheet. But we go through the bag. We don't get a magnifying glass out of it through the bag, but we don't go through it with a magnifying glass on a white sheet from a homicide scene either.
Right.
So I hear what you're saying. I just don't think that error translated into poor performance. Now, could we have found? So we do go through the bag. If there was a big red fiber in it, we see that.
Right.
So I don't know if there was an error done that it results in poor performance, if that makes sense. But, certainly there is those risks, and because of where we are now, I can't tell you that there isn't a miss.
Right.
But I also think that the case was handled, other than the gap of when I drew the samples to when we realized they weren't tested, that's a problem that I apologize to you for.
Right.
But other than that, I don't think...
But that's another thing, too. I know you're apologizing for the error of the 6 years there where the samples were taken in 2006 to they were recognized in 2012. But the thing of it is, the leading detective should at least notified you and said, hey,
well, I agree.
Because here's the thing. You just said it yourself. They told you, hey, did you do swabs? And then you're like, no, we didn't do swabs. Well, we need to send the body back, and then they sent it back, and they did. So they knew they were there, and they knew what they were asking for, but then they waited another 6 years to ask you for the samples.
I can't argue with that logic. It should have been picked up. And so the normal, I think I've already told you, the normal process is we do not submit those swabs. We collect them, and then that's the other reason why law enforcement is present. We give whatever evidence to the law enforcement people, so they have the chain of custody, and then they turn it into the laboratory. So when the laboratory gets a report, it goes back to law enforcement. What happened in your case is we turned the swabs in, they were looked at, and had a positive result, but no one ever got that report because it went back to my coroner's office, and since we're the same building, it just got filed. You are absolutely correct. They knew it was going to be here and turned in, so why wouldn't an investigator say, hey, it's been a year, did you not get swabs on that case? I can't answer why that didn't happen.
Right. I mean, well, I'm just saying, though, they asked for them, and then they didn't. It's like they almost didn't follow up and didn't care. Okay, well, we asked for it because there was a reason they asked for it, because there was something suspicious at the crime scene,
it would have changed things if someone had followed up, including myself, at least on a timing perspective.
Right.
And interviews, you're absolutely 100% correct, and that's what I take part of the responsibility. We knew it was here and let it sit as well. It's just we went outside routine by trying to be helpful because the body had already left, and we did those swaps. The coroner's offices submitted them directly to the crime lab, which is just across the hall, and that is not normal process. So when it just, detectives are used to just the report just shows up. They're not used to thinking, hey, I had that case 6 months ago and I never got a report. It should have happened. It's just outside of routine, and that's where we got the ball.
And see, that's another thing too. You even said, the sheriff was at your office. You knew who he was, and he was there. And still, even when they were there on other reasons, they still didn't even ask for him.
Yeah, I don't know how often Fayette County comes over, but law enforcement does come over. But I'm sure they're here. Yeah, I'm sure they were here on other cases at some point. Somebody was, detective.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I just, like I said, when they sit there and they ask for something, and there was a reason they asked for it, and then they don't turn around and they wait 6 years before they ask for it again.
I totally appreciate what you're saying, but I don't want you to lose sight of the fact that we did do, it took 6 years, but every testing that would have been done, and in some sense you could argue there was more testing done because we were so much better by 2012 at DNA detection. There is a good argument to say in 2006 we may not have found what we found because we weren't as good as we were in 2012 at looking for small degraded DNA fragments. The flip side of this argument is if we had done it, would we have gotten the same results because we weren't as technically savvy 6 years earlier? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know is I think we got to the same endpoint, most likely.
But see, that's another thing is them running it into putting it in the CODIS because, like I said, they're telling me, well, we're running everybody's DNA with this sample in CODIS, but then they ain't ran nobody's but mine. I'm the father, and they only
been submitted.
Right.
But I will find out a definitive answer for you.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yep.
And then I already asked about the X-rays, so I know about them.
I don't know. I don't have documentation of that. Now, in 2006, I'm not sure we were taking pictures. Like right now, we do an X-ray. We capture that digital file, and it goes into our picture file. In 2006, I don't know. So I may have it on a different. It may actually be in her case file. So I'll find out about CODIS. And it appears I did not take X-rays. If I did, I'll let you know.
Okay. But it appears you didn't.
It appears I did not. And like I said, because I'm going to see with the exam 90% of the bony structures, and I didn't have a concern for, tip of a knife or a bullet, other metal that I would need to X-ray to find.
Right.
Because I could see that she has no open wounds.
Now, if they would have said, we found her, I don't know how the detectives talk to you guys, because I know in most cases, usually a detective goes to the coroner when you're doing your stuff. A lot of times they take their own photographs. There's a reason they take their photographs, and you guys take yours, and the fire marshal takes his. There's a reason for those, why they do, because everybody's a detective, and everybody that's,
We actually don't allow that here.
You don't allow it?
We do not allow it. We take one set of photographers. We have one photographer, one camera in the room at a time. We don't allow the detectives to take their own pictures here during the autopsy. At the crime scene, you're right, they take their set, fire marshal does their set.
Right.
In the autopsy, we don't because we have professional photographers. We have people that's all they do, and they take one set and then we just make copies for everybody.
Right.
Okay.
Can I ask you another question real quick? Why did they do the exhuming at the fire station? Why didn't they take her to the hospital where it was more sanitized?
Well, I'd sanitize is, what is there is no concern of, if you mean sanitized as respectful, I think they treated it as a respectful area. I can't answer why they did it at the fire station. I can guarantee you a hospital wouldn't allow it in for risk of, I lack a better word, for risk of it creating a air quality, smell problem. It's not going to go to a hospital. I guarantee you it's never going to happen.
Well, when they exhume bodies, I know that that's very rare when they do that. But when they do it, I mean, where do they mostly do that at?
Well, my experience is because I was only when I'm involved, and they come here. They come to the coroner's office. State County doesn't have it, so I guarantee you it was just a cost. It was a cost to transport to a mortuary environment. So their options were to go to a funeral home or to a big open space, which is the firehouse, where it could be done quickly. I assume it was close to where she was buried at, so they could exhume her.
Well, the Morrow's funeral home, where my daughter was, where we did her viewing in and everything,
right,
was right 2 houses down from the fire station.
Yeah, well, they may not have had, the funeral may have said no, or they had a service going on. I don't know the answer.
Right. I'm just cautious about, like a defense attorney saying, oh, okay, they did it in a fire station, where you pull trucks in and out and people, and I mean, I don't know how the scene was set up there as far as how they all did the exhuming.
I don't either.
I don't know, like, did you guys take her out of the coffin and set her on a table and then...
I can tell you, just hang on, let me put you back on speaker 1 second.
Okay.
I have, just reorganized my office and my phone is too far away from my computer. I gotta figure this out. I don't know the answer, if they took her out of the casket or not. But I have photographs when I think I gave them. You got them, did you get them?
I got the photographs from where you, at your place, when you, at Montgomery County's.
Okay.
I didn't get no photographs from the exhuming.
There is a set that we did. I know her. I don't know if they took her out of the casket or not. They examined her, and the things with her are inventory. So I can't answer if they took her out of the casket or not.
So you didn't do the...
I personally did not do it. No.
You did not personally do the samples?
Dr. Allen, I think it was Dr. Allen, I think Dr. Brown now and everything, went there with one of our autopsy techs, is my recollection.
You mean somebody else from Fayette County did the samples?
No, my office. There's 7 doctors here.
Oh.
I think I was unavailable the day they were going to do it.
Okay.
Another doctor did it. A woman doctor.
A woman. Oh, so you wouldn't even know then who was there or nothing, right?
Correct.
I mean, you wouldn't have known who was all standing there when it was done.
I would not, although yes, I don't know.
Now, that would be, because I know you said something about the Fayette County's the one who took the samples.
Well, we took the samples from her, and then they took custody of them, is my understanding.
At the scene.
We didn't keep them.
Right, they took custody of them at the scene.
That's why it was done in Fayette County Fire
Station. They took custody of them, I think, because they use BCI now.
Right, well, that's where they said they sent them.
Yeah.
Was to BCI because, and I didn't understand that neither. You're familiar with this case and everything. You knew where the samples, you collected the samples the first time. I don't understand why they didn't send the samples back to you guys, because you guys would have had the answers within 3 to 4 weeks instead of 8 months.
We are a little faster than BCI, but then again, they don't pay us, so they use BCI because it's free.
So it's
I think it's a cost issue if it's free, and then the other issue is I don't think we have we haven't earned a lot of their respect over this case.
Hasn't earned whose respect?
I think the sheriff at that time, at least in 2012, I don't know if it's the same sheriff, I think it is, but
it is,
was not happy with us for having that report for 6 years and not knowing it.
Okay, but then again, they didn't ask for the report neither in 6 years.
I understand that. I'm just saying I don't think there's any love lost because I think he blames some of the grief he suffers on us for having a 6-hour delay. Which, right or wrong, it's my fault. I mean, it happened, but I think he's going to go to BCI now.
What do you mean by a 6-hour delay?
6-year delay.
Oh, 6 years delay. But like I said, the leading detective is the one that notified you guys and said, did you guys notified Gay. Gay asked if you took samples. You said no. Then the body came back here. The thing of it is, if the detective already knew this, then that tells me there was a lack of communication between the detective and Dr. Gay, because he didn't ever send the body as an accidental. And then, because it was only within hours of this happening, where she went to your guys' facility to be picked up, brought back to Fayette County, and then in 3 hours took back to Montgomery County.
Well, you're right, and I think, but in some sense, they knew before they sent her that Gay should have communicated the concern to us.
Right.
Right away. It just wasn't, and that,
Right, and then, like I said, the detectives are the ones that was asking for swabs, and then, but then, like I said, he always wants to pin this on it. I mean, I know my sheriff, man. He wants to pin everything on everybody else, just like now he's blaming all the dead, Dr. Gay's dead, the leading detective's dead, and now he's blaming them for not questioning witnesses, not doing this, not collecting evidence out of Mackenzie's room, not taking photos. He's blaming everybody but himself. But he's the one that was the lead person at the crime scene. He's the one who pronounced my daughter dead at the crime scene. He's the one who followed the body to the morgue, or to our hospital, and was in the room with Dr. Gay. And if it was a concern, he would have been telling Dr. Gay right then.
Yeah, I certainly will accept my part in the decision, and I think the autopsy case was done the same way I would have done it had I known there was a concern, other than collecting the swabs. And 3 hours later doing it, I don't think we missed anything, other than, she was washed. So if there had been something external, we missed that, which is...
So she was washed?
She's washed, oh yeah, but part of the autopsy, she gets cleaned up before she leaves here, so...
Oh, so when you first got her, the first time you got her, before Morrow picked her up, you guys washed her?
Yeah, had I known it, the only thing different I would have done is that's when we collect the swabs and we look at her externally to see if there's anything we need to swab externally before we clean her. If we do that for injuries and then we clean her, we do the case of clean her again. So everything we got on the swabs, though, is internal. So
right. So by external, what do you mean by that? On the outside?
Everything we got on her was from an internal swab.
Internal, what's that mean?
The swab is inside, being in her mouth, whatever.
Right, okay.
So
now I see what you're saying.
That step never changed from her being here and getting washed. We're not affecting that. Internally it's still the same. So nothing has been, you know what I'm saying? The only thing we lost because of me not having that information is a chance to look and see if there's external evidence that I should have collected.
Right. And that's because she went to your guys' facility as an accidental patient, which means she just, you guys do your basic things and then clean her up, and then the funeral picks her up to take her, and then that's when you got the call saying something else, and then it was bring her back.
Correct. So the swab is, and I may not have collected anything externally, but I would have looked.
Right. Well, you didn't know to look.
I didn't know to look. But that, in some sense, what you said earlier is also true, that these cases are treated like homicide.
Right.
And we did treat it with suspicion, but most fire deaths are normal homicides, and then the body is burned or the house is burned to cover it up. They're not killed by the fire.
Right.
This is a little unique in that she was alive and somebody was trying to hide the sexual assault, potentially. So they didn't strangle her, they didn't shoot her, they didn't stab her, and then burn the house. They set the house on fire around her.
Right.
For whatever reason. So that makes it already unique. So nothing, I don't know that I missed anything, although I would have looked externally probably closer had I known this is the potential, is what we're looking for.
Right. Like I said, I don't blame you. I don't blame you because, like I said, the investigators down here should have. They knew. They known what was going on. They knew, and like I said, they knew that samples were there, and they still didn't ask for them for 6 years until. And I'll be honest with you, until I started bitching, until I started getting mad as a father, like what the hell's going on here? Because they didn't even ask for my DNA or anybody's DNA until 2012.
Right.
That's when they started collecting our DNA.
Well, because they didn't know they had anything to compare it to.
Well,
You know what I mean?
you had it in 2006, but no one, it wasn't.
Right, they didn't know it was there. That's what I'm saying. The only thing that changed is we would have moved up the timeline, but everything happened that would have happened. It just would have happened in 2006.
Right. All right, well, if you could find out about the x-rays and the CODIS, I would appreciate that.
I'll do it. Shouldn't take me long.
All right, buddy, and I thank you, man, for taking the time to talk to me and explain things to me. I'm just, like I said, man, I'm just trying to find out what went, why this is 12 years and not 3 months, you know, and it was over.
I understand. Help you any way I can.
All right, buddy, thank you so much.
Yep.
Bye. All right, so that was one of the corner, me and him having a discussion. Like I said, I know some of y'all have different opinions about it. And here's the thing, that he admitted twice on there that they dropped the ball. And that takes a lot for somebody to admit, as serious of a crime that this is, with my daughter, being that she was raped and it was a homicide and the house was set on fire and what my little girl went through. It takes a lot for somebody to admit that they dropped the ball, but I am not going to blame this coroner only for dropping the ball, because no matter what, either the fire marshal or the detective at the crime scene determined that there was more to what happened to my little girl that night. When they made that phone call to Dr. Gay knew that there was suspicion. Vernon and Stanford knew it was suspicious because the firemen said that there was something wrong with this fire. The fire was set inside the house. They saw the splash pattern. They automatically called the fire marshal, so they knew there was something wrong with this from the get-go. And I can read a statement. But see, you got to think about it. There was a reason that this coroner report was never filed. And in this coroner's report here, let me find it real quick. And I agree, you know, this man had no clue when I called him what I was going to ask. You know, I already did my reading up on stuff, how a crime scene was supposed to go, how you're supposed to treat everything. But if you did listen to him in that tape, he did make one thing. If no matter what comes out of this with my little girl, one thing I do know, he said, because of your daughter's case, now every victim that comes into that coroner's office in Montgomery County is treated as a homicide. And they automatically do the skin tissue under nails. They automatically do a 100% autopsy, collecting of evidence, until they're told that it's an accident. So, if anything about this story of my little girl, at least by me being the father that I was, and by me barking and banging on doors, at least one facility has now changed procedure on how a victim comes in there. And that touches me, because now I know that the next victim that goes in there, they're going to do their job. There's not going to be dropping the ball. There's not going to be errors on this.
So, you know, like I said, but here's what the coroner, this is Dr. Gay's statement. Due to the fact that the examination of the body is always confusing after fire in terms of identifying time of death from body temperature and from stiffening of the joints from the heat of the fire, as opposed to rigor mortis, and also because of the strange social situation of the mother and the father, I am going to have an autopsy done. Preliminary, the cherry red color of the skin that has the soot damage removed indicates that there was carbon dioxide poisoning from smoke inhalation. I discussed this case with the Montgomery County investigator, Jim Branham. So he already notified Jim Branham and said, because of the situation of the mother and the father, I want a full autopsy done. And you just heard him say, that ain't how Mackenzie came in with the paperwork. The paperwork came in telling them that she was an accident. And ain't it funny, Vernon Stanford was there at the hospital when my daughter was released to Montgomery County. And then when my daughter was released to Montgomery County, they washed her body. They sent her back to Montgomery County, or to Fayette County, and then turn around and resend her back, and then they found the internal swabs. What he's trying to say is, during this time, the internal swab would not have changed because that DNA was found inside of her. So, with that, you know, that's what I'm saying. But the bottom line here, and I don't care what anybody says, the bottom line here is they knew that there was DNA. They asked for it to be done. They asked for them to more or less do a rape kit test. And I've got the paperwork. It showed what they did, where they swabbed her. They asked. I am not going to blame this coroner 100% by saying, well, we didn't send paperwork or whatever to Fayette County, because Fayette County didn't ask neither. They, in 6 years, did not ask, where's the results from the swabs that we asked for to be done. So, both parties in this were wrong. The only difference is the Montgomery County coroner literally admitted to me, we dropped the ball. We did things that we shouldn't have done. We were trying to be kind, and instead of doing the protocol way. So he admitted it. He willingly admitted it. But I can tell you right now, my sheriff in Fayette County has not admitted to any wrongdoing publicly or to me. He thinks that he did nothing wrong. And there was a newscast. I think, Sean, you have it. If you do, you can post it later. But he got on the news and he said, I do not believe we dropped the ball. I do not believe we're covering up. I do not believe, and that's all he says, I do not believe. But he has not willingly admitted and there's more tapes. I mean, please don't argue on this. You know, everybody has the right to their own opinion, and you know, Lauren's just getting in it and listening to this probably for the first time. And, you know, we all know there's more tapes to my discussion with the coroner. But like I said, he did admit it, and he's admitted it on other tapes of me and him having our conversations of their wrongdoing. He willingly put his job on the line saying, we went a different route with this when we should have went the right way. And he admitted that. He admitted that, and that's why I believe he's telling the truth. One thing I can tell you is every time I've called Fayette County's coroner's office, Dr. Mesker has ignored me completely, has not given me anything, won't give me anything, and because of that, Montgomery County made their phone call to him. He refused their phone call, so that's why I was able to get photographs, get the paperwork, and get it, because there's a chain of command that you have to follow, and I did it. Dr. Harshberger from Montgomery County did it, and because of that reason, I was able to get the stuff that I got. And because of Montgomery County's coroner's office, I was able to look at photographs of my daughter. I was able to determine that my daughter's clothes were not singed or wet. That's the reason they were destroyed, her clothes. And then when I proved that DNA, well, if you listen, Lauren, and I take this in a disrespectful way, but if you listen, he automatically says there was a turmoil now between the Fayette County Sheriff's Office and Dr. Montgomery County's coroner's office, because Fayette County is blaming them for not giving them the report. But I back up the Montgomery County because, like I said, they're both in the wrong. It should have been asked. If you're lead detective and you're telling this community every day that we're working on this 100%, it's moving forward, then how in the hell are you moving forward 6 years later? You realize, hell, there's been DNA for 6 years laying at Montgomery County. So that's the only thing I have a problem with the Fayette County, is they were telling everybody in this community that this case was moving forward. They're working on it every day, but for 6 years they totally forgot that they asked for a rape test kit done on my daughter, and then there was DNA found there, and that, like he's trying to say, Montgomery County, in that 6 years a lot of time went by, a lot of things changed, a lot of things happened, and it did. And this is a proven fact. This is why we're going on 13 years, and this is an unsolved homicide, because of the errors that were made on my daughter's case. That's the only answer, true answer to this whole thing, is because of the errors made by both parties. Both parties. That is why this is 13 years, this case. The other reason is that they got a father that is kicking their ass to the right, to the left, every time they turn around. They made a comment. They called me a dumb redneck hillbilly, and they never expected me to do what I did. They expected me to sit here at my house and take the loss of my child and say, oh, well, she's in a better place, like the mom. And I'm not going to do that. I will fight this until my last breath. And because of me being the father that I am, and because of me being the person that I am, and because of me fighting as hard as I have, this is why we find this stuff. This is why we're hearing this stuff. This is why people are coming out. I mean, I've got facts. How do you argue facts? And you can't argue facts, so you might as well admit that you did wrong, that you screwed up. The only person that ain't admitting they did anything wrong is the Fayette County Sheriff's Office. And they did. No matter how you look at this, they didn't question witnesses. They didn't collect bed sheets. They didn't collect anything around that body. And if here's the thing, if you're asking, and this is common sense. This is common sense. This was way back in the year of 1999, going into 2000, when John Bonet was raped. So they knew about touch DNA. It was already out in 1999. My daughter wasn't murdered until 2006. So take this for an example. You got a leading detective that sees something at a crime scene, but doesn't collect evidence from that crime scene, asks for DNA rape kit test done on my child. They find DNA. which is male DNA, and no matter how you look at it, my 8-year-old was 8 years old. So no male's DNA should have been up inside my daughter's body. No matter how you look at it, no male's DNA should have been inside my daughter's body. So you take that, and then you request the clothes to be destroyed, knowing that that child was raped. Knowing that child was raped, you don't automatically say, hold the clothes. You ask for a rape test to be done. Then you turn around and you say, destroy the clothes. We don't need them. They have nothing of value to this case. How the hell don't they? They were on a child that was raped, murdered, and set on fire. So yes, those clothes have everything to do with this case. Everything. So, like I said, back to the coroner. At least he might have stuttered here and there. He might have, but you got to think about it. I caught this man off guard. I called him and I immediately started on him and asking him questions of things that I already knew the answer to. And he knew that. If you listen to his voice and you listen to the tape, he knew this was going nowhere. Whether he was lying or hiding something or whatever, he knew it wasn't going anywhere. And he eventually came out and told me what I've been waiting to hear, and that my daughter was raped, because I never had the evidence to prove it. In the back of my mind, did I believe it? Yes, because why else would you kill my little girl? My little girl did nothing. She had no enemies. So I believed it, but I didn't have the evidence to bring to you, to the community, and say, okay, my daughter was raped. So I give this man credit. This is the only person right now that is working with me. This is the only person that gave me documents that you don't get. You just don't walk into a coroner's office and say, hey, I want this, this, and this of a crime that is still being investigated. But I proved to the world that you can. And somebody with enough heart and enough determination and enough care about what happened to their child, whether it's a boy or a girl, you will fight and you will make it happen. If that means me going to jail for a month or two because the law don't want me to know the truth, then that's the sacrifice that I take. That's the sacrifice I give. Just like I sacrificed my life to save her. The mother didn't. If anybody should be blamed for the whole entire situation, it should be the mother. The mother's the one that gave up on her child. The mother's the one that saved her own life and could care less about her daughter. That's the truth. That's the truth. And like I said, I can go on and on about her lies and the things that she tells. And like I said, I have facts. My facts are always going to be facts. And that's a good question, Missy. I gave them a list. I gave Fayette County actually probably a year and 7 months ago. I gave Fayette County 11 males names to start running DNA. But let me tell you something. If you heard what the coroner said and you know about the exhuming part, it was about money. They don't want to spend the money to solve this case or do this case right. It's about money. And people wonder why I get so pissed when I posted my daughter's GoFundMe up on the, I did it. I told my wife, I'm going to post this and I'm going to see if anybody out there really cares about what happened to Mackenzie. A whole week went by and nothing. Same amount. Ain't nobody helped me with any money or anything. Because just like me exhuming my daughter again, some people might think it's cruel to do it. But you know what? what I have been asking for, skin tissue to be brought out underneath my daughter's fingers, nails, wasn't done. And I asked and I asked and I asked for it to be done, and they still wouldn't do it. Why? Because they're afraid that there might be more DNA there under her nails, because obviously whoever was touching my daughter, I guarantee you she was fighting them. But, you know, I sit there and I look at, and this is the truth, and people can take it however you want. I'm to the point where I'm going to fight this no matter if I have an army or I don't have an army. Nobody's going to change the way I feel about how this case went. Nobody knows anything that goes on inside this head, and nobody understands any part of that. But I sit here and I watch people give almost $20 million to build a fucking wall. I understand about that wall. I understand that keeping, you know, trafficking and all that. But let me put it this way. That wall being built, my daughter wasn't murdered by somebody in Mexico. My daughter was murdered by somebody in the United States. My daughter was murdered and raped by a U.S. citizen. And they can give $20 million to build a fucking wall, but you can't give $5 to help solve a case of a little girl that was murdered and raped and set on fire. I don't understand. I got on there today, matter of fact, on Channel 6 News, and I kept bringing up my daughter until Channel 6 News kicked me off, because I sat there and watched Mike DeWine, that's going to be our governor, sit there and say, his little sidekick sit there and say that Mike DeWine's about children and helping children and doing the right thing for children. He totally ignored my daughter. He didn't do a thing for my daughter. I called the state's attorney's office friggin' almost every day. I got hung up on. I got ran around, you know, here, you need to talk to this person, this person. I got told that Mike DeWine did not have time to talk to me about my daughter's case. But this is the same man that's now going to be governor. This is the same man that said in 2016 for all cases unsolved to be turned into their office. And still today, Mackenzie's is not there. And I agree, like with Wendell. I think it was Wendell that said it. You know, I should have 1,000 viewers on this. There should be 1,000 people watching this. But that's the thing. Channel 6 News, Channel 10 News, Channel 4 News, Channel 7 News. Nobody wants to tell the truth. Nobody wants to say that Mackenzie was raped. They want to keep it as it was a fire. And because it's kept as a fire, nobody outside of my live feed knows what's going on. If this ain't shared or if this ain't told, nobody knows about it. There's a lot of people that don't even have Facebook. There's a lot of people don't even know what Facebook even is. So they don't hear the story, the true story about how screwed up this case is. And on top of that, that this little girl was raped. And that they have male DNA. The best evidence they got is the DNA. Everything else was destroyed in the fire. So the best DNA they got is evidence is the DNA. And still 6 more years have gone by and they still ain't ran nobody. So that's how I look at this whole situation. I even went to our newspaper, local newspaper, that called my daughter Knit. Asked them to post it in the newspaper to update her story, to tell people that this child was not only killed in a fire that was rolled in arson, but she was raped, and that there's male DNA out there. Vernon, on the other hand, wants to say that's confidential evidence, that I'm sharing with the public, and it could hurt the case. How the fuck can it hurt the case? When John Bonet was murdered and raped, they went on the news and told everybody she was raped. It didn't hurt that case. There's a dozen cases out here where they go on news media and they say what they're looking for. If you don't let the community know what the hell we're doing, how the hell you going to find out anything? And if you got detectives sitting over there getting a paycheck that ain't even done nothing in the last 6 fucking years, in 6 years, they have not done nothing with Mackenzie's case. But they tell you that it's an ongoing investigation, that it's an open case. Bullshit. It ain't an open case. It ain't open. I'm going to put it this way. Believe it or not, that's a good question, Lauren, about police officers. I went to the chief of police here in Washington Courthouse. He didn't want no part of it. None. And he is one of them that can request for the case to be taken out of this county. And he refused. Prosecutor refused to move it out of this county. Vernon Stanford does not want this case to leave this county. This is why BCI now is doing what they're doing. And then eventually there'll be answers to why this case went the way it went. Because no matter how you look at it, ain't nobody going to be able to come to my house, sit in front of me and say, okay, this is why the ladder is gone. That piece of evidence that we put in the evidence from your daughter's fire, this is why it's missing. They ain't going to be able to answer that. This is why the clothes were destroyed. There you go. They ain't going to be able to come to me and say, this is why we destroyed your daughter's clothes. It ain't going to happen. This case was screwed up from the get-go. And a lot of it was lack of communication and unqualified people handling a homicide arson case that they have never dealt with. And it shames me that they didn't even have the dignity to call in somebody that has dealt with this kind of a case. What's it going to hurt to pick up a phone and say, look here, you all have handled arsons and fires and homicides and rape all in one. You all have handled this. Can you come in and give us a hand with this case? What's that hurt? I don't understand what that hurt. Because truthfully, ain't nobody getting a hero button out of this. There is no heroes. I've said this before. The only heroes was the firemen that risked their lives and brought my daughter out as Mackenzie. They didn't let her burn up into the skeleton. You know, if you're going to sit there and look at me and say, well, we don't have the time to do this, we don't have the time to do this, then give it to somebody that does. You've got 11 male people that are related on both sides of that family, of the 2 that were in that home that night with my daughter, and you ain't ran one of their DNA yet. 6 fucking years. You ran mine in 2012. And y'all heard the coroner say I was clear. And that it should have never even been, my DNA shouldn't even been asked for. 6 years. You got a boyfriend, a male, that lives with my daughter, that has a history of hurting children, who beat kids for peeing the bed, who electrocutes kids for doing wrong. Electrocutes them. We all met the kid that came to my house and told his story about the boyfriend and how he treated him when he was a kid. That took a lot for that kid to do. And still, you got a sheriff looking at me saying, I don't have no person of interest and I don't have no suspect. How the fuck don't you? The fire was set inside that home. 2 people were in that home with my daughter. How the fuck don't you have a suspect? How don't you have a person of interest? Because they ain't been cleared. So how don't you? How can you sit there and tell the community you have nobody? But I tell you what, if you'd done your fucking job in the beginning of this, 2 people today would be in prison. Now, 13 years later, when the father brings everything to the fucking table and says, what the fuck, I've got enough to put away the people that killed my child, murdered my child, raped my child. Now it's too late because now the defense attorney can tear everything apart because nothing was fucking done right. You allowed a rapist, murderer, and an arsonist free. You allowed it. You're the ones that made the error, not me. Every time you called me, I was at that Sheriff Annex building giving you whatever you wanted. 3 years you left me as a suspect, knowing I had nothing to do with this. 3 years. 3 years you left me as a suspect until the fire marshal and ATF cleared me. And now that I'm cleared, now everybody's clear. Are you fucking kidding me, Vernon? Are you fucking kidding me? I can prove this mother, and I think I have tonight, that she is a guilty party of this. Whether she was asleep or not, I don't really give a rat's ass. Because let me tell you something, where everybody's missing the point here, and that's the point. The point of this, it ain't the fucking fire. The fire was set to cover up what happened to my daughter. The rape. The rape is the crime. That's the crime. Somebody fragilely broke my little child's innocence. Took it from her. Took it. And they're still out there to do it again to another child. And that's what pisses me off, is when people don't pay attention. When people want to defend the law or defend the politicians or defend. Those are the crookedest motherfuckers on the face of this earth. The bottom line here is someone took her innocence and destroyed it. And because she was going to tell, they took her life. And you can't sit here and tell me that that so-called egg donor doesn't know who was messing with her daughter. Bullshit. She knows. She knows who was touching her little girl. She knows who set that damn fire. Whether she was there or not, whether she was at the bar or Waffle House eating breakfast, I don't really give a rat's ass. The bottom line is here, is she knew, A, if she wasn't there at that fire and she showed up and that's why the truck was sitting in the middle of the road, then she knows who she left her child with to be babysitted by. She knows. And that would be a person, if they're a male, to run their DNA. But she ain't telling that. She ain't saying who she left her child with. So if she didn't leave her child there, that means she was there. And if she was there, she wasn't asleep. I done proved that. I done proved that she didn't talk to Mackenzie, because you won't talk to your child and then run up the fucking street and leave your kid burning up in a house. So no matter what, how you guys can throw whatever questions at me, you're never going to change my mind that mother did not know what happened that night. You're not ever going to convince me that she was asleep in bed and woke up to popping and crackling noises. But then in another story, she woke up to choking on smoke. And in another story, the dog set the fire, the rabbit set the fire, the fucking squirrel down the road set the fire. How many, come on, people. Man, you guys, law enforcement, how many dumbass How many dumbass answers that mother going to be able to give when you realize she's a liar? Come on, man. Come on. And I look at it this way. For 13 years, she's had her freedom. She's had her freedom. And what mother is going to get on there and tell me that my child died peacefully, that my child was ready to go see God? Really? Y'all really believe that? That my baby girl looked at her mom and said, I'm ready to go see God. I'm ready. I'm going to die peacefully. Come on, man. Any of you out there, any of you women out there that know that have been raped, you know damn well it wasn't peaceful. There is no reason today at all that Mary Ann and Kenny Mossbarger should not be in jail for this crime. No reason at all. And any of you out there that are parents, men and women, if you knew your kid was raped, if you knew your child was raped, you'd be as pissed off as I am that that child was raped. And you would want to find the son of a bitch that raped your child. In other words, in Tip City, she sits over there and don't give a rat's ass about none of this. None. Come on, man. I've read you guys, like I said, her stories. Every story is different. Every story is untrue. They've got the evidence to prove that. Get somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing, that knows how to be a detective. Bring her ass in. Put her in a fucking room. Punch holes in all her fucking lies with the facts and evidence you've got. Don't go in there and talk to her for 2 hours and let her go home. And if you knew that a child was raped and there's only one male that lives in that home, why would that person be allowed to leave? Kenny Mossbarger shouldn't have never left an interview room. Ever. You know, it just kills me. You know, like I said, there's a lot of good cops out there. Do not ever think I don't, because there is. I've met a lot at my front door, even to come and talk to me for stupid shit I've done. They were still respecting me. They still treated me with respect when they left and they came. There's a lot of good cops, but there's also bad cops. There is. We all know this. But there is no explanation to why this case went the way it went. There's none. There is no excuse whatsoever. There's protocol. Everybody knows since fucking in the, like I said, if they didn't take photographs of crime scenes, then we wouldn't even known or never seen a picture of Jesse James. So yes, they take pictures of crime scenes clear back in the 1800s. You're not going to sit there at law enforcement and say, well, we didn't know to take pictures. Well, we didn't know to collect all the evidence in her bedroom that was around her body. Come on, man. If any of y'all believe that shit, I feel sorry for you. I've said this before. I am not ashamed of who I am. I have never said that I was a perfect angel and that I have a clean record or clean slate or whatever. I have done shit in my past, just like every human being on this earth. including the preachers that stand up in front of a church and preach with a Bible in their hand. We are all human. We all make mistakes. But the bottom line is, I don't lie. The bottom line is, when I come to you, I bring facts. And I am not ever, ever in my life going to hold my head down for what I have done for my little girl. Whether I'm here today or I die tomorrow, at least when I die, I know I did everything I could as a father. I have reached out to as far as I could reach out to get justice for my little girl. But one thing I do know, if I ever pass away before this ever does come to reality, I will be with my daughter. I will be holding my child. I will be laughing again with my child. But I can tell you one thing. When you make a comment, quote this. Like I said, you can say what you want, but unless you were there, caught in the moment and the circumstances, you have no clue how things would play out. One of the things I'm going to tell you right now, and that was wrote by the mom. And one thing I can tell you right now, I don't care what anybody says. I'd have never left my child in that house. Our job as parents are to give our life for our children without hesitation, without thinking about it, without wondering, man, I don't want to die, because I want to go to the bar Friday night. I want to, party some more. I want to, I've got plans to buy a boat in 5 years. You're not supposed to think about that stuff. You're supposed to give your life without any questions to save your child. To save any child. Whether they're your child or not your child. Like I said, man, I'm trying to do everything I can. I'm going to keep with these live feeds. I'm going to keep showing you guys video. I'm going to keep showing you guys statements and stuff. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop. I have no reason to stop. And even when this ever does come to justice, I'm still not going to stop. I will fight for the next child that goes through this, or the next family that goes through what I've been through. I'm trying to show you guys that everything ain't whatever that saying is, spices and whatever, or whatever. It ain't that. It'll never be that. I'm showing you guys a true story about a little girl that had no reason whatsoever to be murdered the way she was murdered. And I don't care if 2020 or Steve Wilkos, Dr. Phil, ID, whatever's on this TV. I don't care if they ever fucking do her story or want to do her story. I don't really give a rat's ass. I'll do my daughter's story. Because one thing I can tell you for that I know is a fact. Everything I tell you is true. Everything I tell you is fact. When I play Vernon's tape back here to what he said, then everybody's going to sit there and say, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't think he would do something like that. Because that's what's going to be said. Because then you're going to hear it, his voice, him saying it, and it's going to be like, damn, I didn't think he was that type of a person. Shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Now, somebody asked me a question, if I knew that was my daughter or not in the casket and everything and all that. This is a picture of my daughter in the casket. This is when I first seen her. This is when I spent the day with her. The mom refused to. The mom refused to be with her daughter with the casket open. And if you can see that mark right there on her forehead, right there, there's a mark on her forehead. Almost looks like an A. An A. But what that is these 3 dots. And I can tell you right now, that's my little girl. That is my daughter. I know that's my daughter. This is what a person did to my daughter. This is what that rapist did. This is what your law enforcement and them are covering up. They have the suspects. They have the person that did this because they have the DNA. They have it. They have it. Now, this is a photograph taken last year. This is a hope chest at the so-called mother's house. This is all the items in that hope chest that belong to my daughter. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of clothing for a fire that everything was destroyed in. That's a lot of stuff. This is stuff that was at my daughter's house where the fire was. Here's a jersey with her name on it. There ain't no black marks nowhere on there. Shows no fire damage whatsoever on that jersey. Here's her ball glove. You can see the dirt on the ball glove, but you don't see nothing from a fire. That's her ball glove. Mackenzie's ball glove right there. That's at the mom's house right now. Nothing damaged. This is the Care Bears that the Fayette County Sheriff's Office should have collected. These were on her bed. You can see the soot on them. See the soot on the Care Bears? Well, because of my son, and being the son that he is, he went and stayed with his mom. I have that Care Bear. See, that's the Care Bear that I bought my daughter that was on her bed when she died. And there is all the soot from the fire on this Care Bear from my daughter. Now, this Care Bear was on her bed beside her body. This Care Bear should have been in evidence room because it could have had DNA on it. It could have had hair on it. It could have had semen on it. It could have had anything on it. But because the brother went in the house that failed the lie detector test twice, he was able to collect the stuff off the bed that the Fayette County Sheriff's Office should have had and gave it to the mom in a trash bag. The person that failed the lie detector test twice was allowed to go into a crime scene, into the bedroom where the body was found, dead, deceased, and remove stuff off of the bed and give it to the mother. Instead, the sheets, these Care Bears, her clothing, all that should have been in evidence. Who dropped the ball? That ain't Montgomery County. They have nothing to do with that crime scene. They have nothing to do with that crime scene. That's Fayette County Sheriff's Office. They're the ones that should have went in that bedroom. They're the ones that should have collected the stuff off my daughter's body, off my daughter's bed, that where that body was found. They should have collected her sheets, pillowcases, pillow, everything around. They should have had that. All that, and that's common sense. It tells you to collect everything around the body. Yeah, that's a good one, Holly. Yeah, Dr. Gay supposedly wasn't allowed to go into where the crime scene of my daughter's body was because it was unsafe. But the deputy that's related to the boyfriend allowed the person who failed the lie detector test twice and knew that he failed the lie detector test twice because the lie detector tests were taken in May, and the house was tore down in July or August. So he knew that they knew that he felt like that's right, and they allowed him to go to the crime scene, up in the house, up into my daughter's bedroom, and remove stuff all out of there from the crime scene. And then you get a sheriff that says, well, we collected everything we needed, so we tore the house down. How did you, if you collected everything you needed from that crime scene, why do I have the bear? Why do I have this Care Bear? With soot on it. With soot on it. Why do I have that? Why do I have that Care Bear? If you collected everything from that crime scene, why do I have that Care Bear that was on her bed? Now, anybody on there want to argue with that one? Please, anybody. Does anybody, can you tell me why I have the Care Bear, but the Fayette County Sheriff's Office doesn't in their evidence room? I'll give you all time, because I know there's somebody on here, trust me, that believes the mama is innocent as can be. So, you know, I'm waiting on your answer. This is the whole reason I'm doing what I'm doing. This is the whole reason I'm pissed the way I'm pissed. Melissa, I will not argue that. Melissa Young, I will not argue with that, but I don't have the evidence to prove certain things about that. But I can tell you one thing. I've looked at, you know, that situation for a while. And you're right, Jamisha. And that's how you got to look at it. There's two things out of this. Two things out of this. A, they know who did it. They know who did the crime. They know who set the fire. They know who was raping my daughter. Or B, they don't care. What happened? No, the FBI cannot. The only way anybody can do anything with this case is they have to be invited in by law enforcement that is handling the case. And Vernon is not going to invite nobody in. The only thing, the only prayer that I pray every day for is that come 2020, we have a new sheriff, and that sheriff starts opening Mackenzie's case wide open and starts really going after the ones that did this. And I guarantee if you spend an hour with me, you'll know who killed and raped that little girl. I guarantee it. Because people that's been following me for since I started this knows I don't show everything. I don't give everything up. I don't show everything, and I don't play every tape I have. There's a reason for that. And it protects Mackenzie, and it protects her case. So I don't expose everything I know. There's a lot of things I keep to myself, and then there's some things that there's certain people I trust with all my heart, and they know certain things, and trust me, I know they still keep it among themselves, because if not, I've already, with social media the way it is, I've already heard about it. And so a lot of things, like I said, I keep to myself until the right time. Like Linda told me, and my mom told me, and Holly told me, these people that are close to me, and my wife tells me, you know, there's always a time to produce and show something. And then there's times people get mad at me because I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I was talking to somebody today, and I was like, well, let's say, okay, we can understand this part. But then you have this other part comes in, and now you got to take that part back, because, you know, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt of why this went the way it went. But obviously, you know, I've done plenty of live feeds that I have said on my live feeds, just fix it. Make it right. Give my daughter justice. Obviously, they don't want to, because what they did wrong with this case, they don't want it to come back and bite them in the ass. Because now, those who did what they did to make this case to be what it is, they're as guilty as the ones that set the fire. So, you know, they're no different than the one that lit that match. They're no different than the one that raped my child. The only thing that I have never understood in our life circle, the life that we live in our circle, is it always takes something bad to happen before people realize what's going on. And I'm hoping that with my daughter's story that it changes those things. And not only getting justice for Mackenzie, but to make sure at least I have the heart enough to say, I don't want this to happen to somebody else. I don't want them to wear my shoes. I don't want them to lay their head down at night and start crying because of how things went. I don't want that. I don't want people to understand the pain that I've gone through. I don't want anybody to feel that pain. And you know, a lot of people ask me where you get the strength. You know, how do you keep moving with this? How do you look at the photos of your daughter? And, you know, I've even looked at her pictures of her exhuming pictures. And, you know, that's not my daughter no more. It's a shell. It's an outer shell. And, you know, it's not a pretty sight. But I had to. Yes, I still have the GoFundMe page. The thing of it is I sit there and I look at it that the sheriff forced me to have to look at photographs of my child. My last memories should have been of my little girl. My last photograph memory should have been my daughter and the way she was. And it wasn't. I didn't get that opportunity that some people get. I actually now have the memories of this horrible crime that they did, that this person did. And I fight hard to make sure this doesn't, and that's what I don't understand. I'm fighting not only for Mackenzie, but for your all's children too. I'm fighting to make sure that these people and politicians and sheriffs and cops, and that they don't make these kind of mistakes anymore. You know, our children are our future, and I've always said that. And I'm fighting for them. I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for the people that can't speak. I'm showing people how to stand up to, you know, when your child is murdered, you're not supposed to forget it. You're to forgive, but you're not to forget. And in that forgetting, you don't want this to happen again. And you're right, Linda. They thought by exhuming Mackenzie that would quiet me, and it didn't. Because now, I'll show that. But my daughter, I don't believe my daughter was put back in the casket when they buried her. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I seen the photographs of my daughter when they opened the casket, when they were exhuming her, and I saw the pictures of the casket after they put everything back in it. And I don't see my child. I don't see my child there, and I'm not happy with that. And if she's not there, look out, Fayette County, because I'm gonna tell you, think I'm pissed now. That'll probably put me over the deep end if my child was not put back in the casket, in her new casket. And if you made me go through carrying my daughter out of a hearse and putting her in the ground and kissing my daughter's casket, my second time kissing her goodbye. If you put me through that and she ain't in there, yeah, all hell's gonna break loose. Better have a straitjacket for me. These are photographs of that I have here. let me see. Can everybody see that? I don't know. Here we go. I'll move it over this way a little bit. All right. This is the fire right here. This is the house on fire. There's actually a better one. That's the fire. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can move you guys closer to it, to the picture. There's the fire. That's the fire right there. Okay. Now, the mother said she went out the front of the house. That's the front of the house. Okay. What I'm going to show you here is that's the tree right there in the front yard, and behind it is the porch. So that's the fire. That right there is the garage on fire, and that's the awning right there collapsed in front of the garage. And I guarantee you she didn't go out the garage door, because that right there, that's two firemen there. That's the fire truck. And right there is the red pickup truck that the firemen had to move out of the way. They had to push it. They pushed it or drove it, but moved it down the road so that they could get to the fire and start fighting the fire. So that's one of the photographs of the fire there. And that's another one. That's a little better one of the fire there. Like I said, this one is a little darker. The one I showed you earlier, I kind of lightened it up because I was trying to get more details of what was going on here. So that's that. That's the fire there. Let's see. Alright, this is my daughter right here. That's my little girl right there. And this is one of her autopsies, okay? Photographs. And I'm sorry, let me block this. I'm going to start showing some of the graphic photos, so anybody that don't want to see the graphic photos, you're more than welcome to put your phone down, but hear what I'm saying, or, whatever. But I'm going to go through with the photographs. This is my daughter, and right here is her panties. And this is one of the things that we determined on my daughter was that the panties are not hers. They're not her size. They're actually way too big for her. And there was tears on the side. Each side of her panties has a torn place. And the Fayette County Sheriff's Office tried to tell me that her clothes were wet and singed. And so what I did was I blew these photographs up. I blew her pictures up, her photographs up, so that I could see the tear in her underwear. And there's no singe mark around the tear of the underwear. There's no, underwear made out of material that, if you set it on fire, it singed. And it makes a brown, crusty singe around it. And there was none. None at all. And the skin under where the panties were torn, her skin is clear and white. And that tells me that she was laying on her back, not on her stomach, because all the burns and stuff are on top of her, not underneath her. This is another one. This is, and what I did here was, this is her tank top, and you can tell it's not wet, but I'm going to do something here. Okay, I'm going to bring you guys a little closer to this photograph. I'm sorry for the photograph, but I want to explain something. They try to say that my daughter was wet and singed. And this is why I got these photographs and I looked at them. If you can see right here, the black soot that's on her skin. This is black soot on her skin here. If you can see all the little swiggly lines and all this stuff. That is from where her hair was laying on her neck before they, shoved it back
behind her head. All this was laying on that skin, so the soot couldn't touch the skin. So I determined that, okay, if you can see the hair marks from her hair laying on her face, that the soot didn't touch that part of the skin, and that's why it's clear and you can see all the designs, then if her body was wet, like they said, you would see trails of water through that soot. You would see how, you know how when you wet something and water runs down, you would see water trails. And there's no water trails. So my daughter's clothes are not wet. So there was no reason to destroy that tank top. She wasn't wet. This is a photograph. This is how a father with a big heart, and right here's another tear mark right there. That's another tear mark in her panties. Right here, I blew it up. And we even blew this up big. I mean, we got it big size, huge. And that tear mark right there, you can see it's white. There's no burn, there's no crust, there's nothing from the fire whatsoever. So they ain't singed. That tank top ain't singed. This is all soot and heat. Heat is what caused my daughter's skin to do this. She actually baked. They're blisters. You know what I'm saying? And you can see on one of her feet right here where the sock, right here's her two socks. The socks, the panties, the tank top, all destroyed. Now, my daughter does not sleep this way neither. She does not sleep in tank top, panties, and socks. She don't even ever put on a pair of socks. The brother that was there that night said that my daughter was in a blue nightgown when she went to bed that night. When they brought her out of the house an hour and a half later, she was in this. Tank top, panties, and socks. Where did the blue nightgown go? And this is somebody they haven't even questioned. The brother that admitted being there, they didn't even question him at all. Now, they had hair sample. But if you can see, my little girl's hair fell on the table. But they don't have that hair. That hair, they don't have. So they didn't even check to see if, you know, anybody else's hair was in her hair, you know. They didn't do none of that. So those are the autopsy photos. Let me put y'all back this way. And I'm sorry to show you guys this, but you got to understand what I'm going through. You have to understand, as a father, what I've been through and why I fight the way I fight. Let's see. This is her casket. Okay? This is her casket. Now, she's not in there. She's not in this casket at all. Okay? There's where they brought her casket from the exhuming. This is the fire station. Here's the van. This is the van they backed in there. Now, remember, this van is backed into a building. It's running. Exhaust is going everywhere. There's my daughter's casket. There's a water hose on the wall. There's a piece of paper stuck between two pipes. But they tell me this is a sanitized area. And look at the floor. Look at that floor. And they tell me that that is a sanitized area. This is where they did her exhuming at. I'm not going to show that photo. That's of my little girl. So we'll skip that one. Alright, this is her feet. This is my daughter's feet. There's her shoes. There's her feet. Here is the wrap they put on her. They wrapped her all the way up. They wrapped her. And, which they told me they were doing that. And for two reasons. One was for the smell. Two was to preserve her body. Here's duct tape you know, that held the wrapping on her and all that. That was her feet. That is her hand. This is my little girl's hand. And if you can see right here is fingernails. All these are her fingernails, still attached. And I asked for them to scrape these fingernails to find DNA. Here's a ring on my daughter's finger, which that was not on her when I went and looked at her at the funeral home. This is her clothes, or this is the material she was laying on inside the funeral home. That's some more. That's the suit that they had wrapped around her. And here's duct tape where they held the back on. This is the suit that was wrapped around her to keep her body preserved. And there it is, bottom white casket liner. And there it is. And if you notice, they got this in a bag. They have it in an evidence bag. But when you look at the new casket, and this is what I was talking about. I got to move you guys back and forth. Sorry about that. There's my daughter. That's her head right there. Okay, that's her head. There's the end of the casket all the way down. This is the stuff in the casket. This is my daughter in the casket. All right. I'm going to try to find that one. Oh, well, I don't have that one. All right, here's her. This is my daughter's bedroom. This is the window that the boyfriend lied and said that he went into to save Mackenzie. This is where her bed was, on this wall, this window, and all that siding not even touched by the fire. But he said he went through the back window, which this is the window the firemen went in and got her out of. But here's her bedroom window. Her bed was laying right here in this corner, and her bed was laying there. So my daughter could have been saved. My daughter could have been saved. That is the front of the house. Okay, over here, if you see this right here, this is the door that goes into the mom and her boyfriend's bedroom. This door was barricaded. This door was blocked by a dresser. So we know she didn't go out that one because the fire marshal said the dresser was still in front of the door. All right, now here we go. This is the back of the house. This is the door that the mom said she went out. That's a lie. This door was barricaded. That is the utility room. That's the kitchen. That's their bedroom. That's Mackenzie's bedroom. That's a bathroom. And that's a window. And I approved this. I said, why didn't you guys put the ladder on the garage roof, go through the window and down the hallway and get to Mackenzie's bedroom? She said, there ain't no window above the garage. Yeah, there is. Right there's the window. Right there, this is the back end of the semi against the garage. And the semi, the top of the semi is as tall as the garage. Here is the fireman's ladder. This is the ladder that the fire marshal and the detective went in to go down to Mackenzie's room to supposedly collect evidence. That's her in the coffin casket. That's her in the casket. That is the two right there. This is just recently. This is recently. This is a photograph of them, what they look like today. Here they are at the ballpark, having a good time. While I'm fighting for justice, who raped my daughter, who took my daughter's life, Here they are. This is them. Right here. That's a recent picture. Right there. That piece of shit and that piece of shit. These are the two that was in that house that night. And they ain't mourning. They don't give a rat's ass that her daughter was raped, murdered, and set on fire. Does not care whatsoever. That's the photographs of them. Now, I'm going to show you all one more thing before I call it a night, because it's like 10:30. All right, this right here, I have kept for years. This is my son's ID. This is Douglas's ID. This was made in June the 3rd, 06. This is in June 06. That's my son's ID. And you can see where it's been in my wallet, everything. Okay? This is Mackenzie's ID. And this was June 16, 03. 03. This is my daughter's ID. Okay, that I keep with me. I keep my kids' IDs with their fingerprints on them and all that. Okay, there's my daughter's ID in 03. You can see, look how wore out it is. Sorry, you guys, put it too close. But you can see how wore out it is. All right, I'm going to show you all something. This is my son's ID in 01, which is 2 years before this one. 2 years before this one. And this one's in 06, all worn out, barely can see, read it. This came from the mother. This is my son's ID in 01, out of the fire. Brand spanking new, out of the fire. Look at that. Ain't even worn out. Brand new. Out of the fire. There's the card. Nothing wrong with it. Brand new. I mean, this thing looked like it was printed yesterday. Vernon Stanford told me, when I mentioned this to him, he said, well, maybe she picked it up off the nightstand and put it in her back pocket. And you're going to hear that on a tape. But that's what he said. Maybe she picked this ID up, put it in her back pocket during the fire. And that's why it looks brand new. Because I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people will remove certain items. They will remove certain items for memories and everything. So this was like, she wanted to make sure this didn't get destroyed in a fire, just like all these clothes. And Vernon, our sheriff, looked at me and said, well, maybe she picked that up off the nightstand and put it in her back pocket. Are you friggin' kidding me? Okay, I'm going to save my son's ID card, but I'm going to let my daughter burn up in the fire. That right there tells you all a lot. These are my IDs that I've had all my, for years. They're worn out. And this one is actually 2 years. This is 01. 01. This is almost, 17, 18 years old? And it's brand new. Brand new in 01. Not a mark. Don't even smell like fire. And that came out of that fire. So now you tell me, explain that one to me. I would like, because Vernon's version, that she picked it up off the nightstand. If that's true, then why didn't Kenny pick up his hearing aids, his contact lenses, and the keys to all the vehicle? Why? I mean, she only picked up an ID and stuck it in her back pocket. And then when I told him, well, wait a minute, Vernon, she said she had sweatpants on. There ain't no pockets on sweatpants. There is no back pockets. Oh. Well, I don't know then. Come on. You know what? Quit making excuses for the fucking murderers. The old casket supposedly is in evidence room. Is in their evidence room. The new casket is already put in the ground. I've already buried that one. So, like I said, I appreciate everybody tonight, man, watching this video. I hope I prove some points tonight to you guys of what I believe went on, what I believe happened. I love my little girl. And when she died, a part of me died. And I'm not going to stop fighting for her. I'm not going to stop the justice that we need, not only for my child, for everybody's child. A photograph. I have a photograph. I can do that real quick. That she wants to know why I don't believe Mackenzie's in the casket, and I'm just gonna show photograph. I thought I had more photographs on there. I'll have to download some more photographs. Okay, the picture I showed you where I said you can see her head. Where you can see her head there, and that's when you look at the new casket. Okay, this is the new casket. All right, this is the new casket. All right, if you look, you do not see my daughter's head nowhere here, and that's a big empty space. And if you look down here, there's her shoes right there, but you don't see her feet. And in the other photograph, remember, her feet was there, her shoes were laying there, and her head was down here, and there's nothing. There's nothing. But all the material that I showed you on the photographs, all that's in there. All these things are in there. But the one thing I thought was suspicious, too, was if you look right here, these stuffed animals are like brand new. And I called the company that makes this stuffed animal right there. And this stuffed animal actually comes out of a claw machine. That's where they send it. It's made by Mardi Gras. That's where they contribute it. And it has not been made. It was not made in 2006. It was not produced. It was after 2006 that it was produced. So how did that stuffed animal get back into that casket? And I'm going to just show you that stuffed animal. And you can see there's no marks on it. It's yellow and purple. No marks on it. Okay? Now I'm going to show you the old picture. Okay, here's the old picture of the casket. Okay, right there's the old picture of the casket. There you see my daughter's head right there. That's her head. You can see there's just a little bit of space there, but you can see her head. Then down here's her feet. There's that stuffed animal right there. Now, look at all that orange, all this orange inside this casket. On the lining and everything, all down in here. See where it leaked down in her casket, all that. But there ain't nothing on that stuffed animal. There ain't nothing on that little pig right there. Okay, so I'm going to bring you a little. Here's another picture of it. I got so much in this folder, you guys. I'm sorry. Here's another photograph right here. And there's that stuffed animal right there. And that yellow right there has nothing on it. No soot, no, whatever this orange stuff is that leaked in her. See it all over the casket, all over the liner, all above the liner here on the head. But there ain't nothing on that stuffed animal. And so that's why I don't believe my daughter's in the casket. And I'm the one that carried my daughter and buried her the second time. And the casket just didn't feel right. So that's why I believe that. And they have to prove that to me. And that's why I'm thinking about raising the money to exhume my daughter again. Because if I exhume her through PMC and if I exhume her, I get the results of the DNA if they find any underneath her fingernails. But I also will be able to find out if she's in there. Like I said, a lot of people don't understand, people question me all the time. Trust me, I have so much evidence, it's out of this world. And, because I did what any father should do. And I investigated my own daughter's homicide. And, in the beginning, you never want to believe that an ex, even though it's an ex, a loved one, a mother, would do this to a child. But when you start reading all the lies and the different changes in the stories, and you start wondering, why ain't she over here helping me get justice for our daughter? Everything points her way. And that's why, but I will argue with anybody. Trust me, the people that's been following me for years, a lot of them know what evidence I have. And I'm ready. I'm ready for anybody that wants to question me. Anybody who wants to say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Trust me, I'm ready. I have so much. And this is only one, and a lot of people have seen this. This is the file right here. This is what I have done. In 1 year, well, now 2 years, I have collected photographs of my daughter's school pictures. These pictures were taken. This picture was taken the day that she died. And during that photograph, I had them blowed up, and I found out that my daughter was abused. She has a mark on her arm. She has a mark on her arm right there. She has a mark. Where am I at? Whoops, sorry. She has bruises and marks on her wrist. She has an elbow with marks and bruises on the elbow. And I even asked the sheriff to do this. I asked him when I saw a mark on my daughter's school picture the day of her death, I asked him to take the photographs and go have them blowed up. So I never found out anything about it. So I went and had the photographs blowed up myself. And Downtown Photographs was nice enough to do it and donate the photographs to me. And by them donating it, I found out that my daughter was injured before the fire, within 12 hours of her death. I have all the photographs of her autopsy, all the photographs of her exhuming. I have the pictures, the only picture that was taken of the fire, and I have the witness name of the person that took this picture of the fire that has never been talked to. I have the weather, what the weather was that night. I have a photograph of the boyfriend here, which he has a condom on his head, and it says, I miss prison sex, which eventually he won't miss it too much longer. Here is a photograph of my daughter on his chest. He had my daughter's face tattooed on his chest, and then sent me the photograph. I have the Fayette County Sheriff's Office admitting to what they lost and what they don't have. I have the prosecutor to what he has and didn't do. I have the coroner's report that was never filed that I found, and thank God for that. That's what all started the investigation by me, was the coroner's report that was never filed. I have every letter sent to Mike DeWine's office and refused. I have the fire marshal report. I have all of her DNA reports. These are all her DNA reports. I have the paperwork on what was destroyed, but no signature of who destroyed it. I have when the house was destroyed. I have what time she arrived at the hospital and what time she left the hospital. I have, here's Mike DeWine. You can see it right there. Mike DeWine letters. Mike DeWine letter. Mike DeWine letter. I have all the lie detector tests results of everybody that took a lie detector test. I have all the statements by people. I have the affidavit that shows when my daughter's headstone was stolen, because they stole her headstone. I have, what is this one? Affidavit that the headstone belonged to me, that they stole. I have right here my DNA, where I gave them my DNA, even though they knew I didn't rape my daughter, but I gave my DNA, and then the results. I have attorney generals, where the mother tried to say that I was stealing money. Here's the hospital report, where they checked her in the ER, even though she was dead. They checked her in the ER as a patient, not as a deceased. I have the Fayette County Sheriff's report. The Fayette County Sheriff's report, the new one that they gave me. I have the EMT report, the fire report, the fire report, the fire report, the ambulance report, the incident report. I have people that have been involved on that side of the family in sexual conduct with minors, that they have not asked for their DNA or questioned them. I have the statements that Vernon made in the Record Herald. I have photographs of all the guns in Marianne and Kenny's house, and they both have felonies. I have their picture of where they went on vacation. They went on vacation right after we buried my daughter. They went on vacation for almost a month. I have the guns that he sold. I have the photograph of the tattoo again. I have incident reports. I have where the headstone was stolen. Here's the headstone that they stole off my daughter's grave. And the mother said there was never a headstone, but right there's a picture of it. And right there's 2 firemen with the Jeffersonville Fire Department, 3 firemen, carrying the headstone to the grave that was stolen. But the mom said there was never a headstone. So we got her a new headstone. Assault reports. Here's where the uncle that failed the lie detector test beat my son. This is where he beat my son, and was never, ever brought in and questioned by Children's Services. This is where the boyfriend of them cut my son 10 inches down his stomach. This is his wounds. He had a 10-inch cut down his stomach and 5 puncture wounds. He was never investigated by Children's Services. This is the boyfriend. This is the same man that hurt 2 other children. This is the same man that lived with my ex, which I was still married to, living with my ex, and it was with my daughter the night that she was murdered and raped. And this is what he did to my son. This is my other son's report right here, where the uncle that failed the lie detector test twice shoved my son into a fireplace and burned him 9 inches across his back, and never ever was investigated by Children's Services. That is my evidence. That is what I have collected, on top of newspaper articles, pictures, photographs, videotapes, whatever. Like I said, I have plenty of evidence. I can fight anybody with the evidence I have, and I can win. And that's a good question, Melissa Young. Why are these people not in jail? If these people would have been arrested back when this first happened, and I even have mental health, a folder full of mental health, which I'll play that tape later, of the Children's Services admitting that they should have questioned these people and should have went out to the house and investigated my kids being tortured. But also, the uncle did sexual things with my kids. And I have that evidence. And was never, ever questioned. Was never brought in. Was never questioned about it or anything. So, I have, trust me, enough evidence to prove that Fayette County screwed this up. They allowed this murder to happen, because if they'd have done their job in the beginning when my kids were being tortured and being hurt and being sexually abused, my daughter would not have been there that night. Now, anybody that wants to argue me, I'm ready for it. I won't cuss anybody or call you a bad name. Everybody has their own opinion. But anybody that wants to stand to me and call me out on anything, let's do it, because I have it. Trust me, I have every piece of evidence to prove exactly what happened that night, who's involved that night, and why it happened. I guarantee you're not going to beat me anywhere. I understand, Denisha, but let me tell you something. I understand your respect for Mackenzie. I knew you knew Mackenzie. I know you babysitted Mackenzie. But let me put it this way. If exhuming my daughter will bring justice and take the people down that deserve to be took down. Because here's the thing. If I exhume my daughter and they do find more DNA underneath her nails, and it nails the person that raped my daughter, but then it also nails the ones that didn't do it the first time when I asked them to do it. No, but his brother was a drug dealer, trafficker. and the funny part about it is the sheriff's brother that I guess he went to prison for trafficking drugs or whatever, but somehow, some way, he became an actual coroner for the Franklin County Coroner's Office. I don't know much about the sheriff's history. So, like I said, anybody that wants to challenge me on anything, trust me, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I can battle any battle. All you got to do is call me out on something. No, she does not. That's a good question, but no. She doesn't, but the boyfriend does. And still today, the boyfriend has a family that works for Fayette County Sheriff's Office. And that's a good question, Lisa, too, about the sex trafficking. I don't know. I do know that they said that her vagina area was normal. Her buttocks, that stuff was normal of a little girl, 8-year-old girl. But unless she was raped that night, and it was her first time, then they would have seen like tears or blood or something. So that tells me that this was going on for a while. Number 2, they found a small amount inside of her. So for that being that they found a small amount, it tells me that either she was raped earlier that day and a lot of it had leaked, or she was raped the day before. Oh, I agree, Lauren. I agree with that. That's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to get a new set of eyes. And it ain't working because, like I said, Vernon Snapwork is keeping it as an open case. And as long as he keeps it an open case and does not invite anybody else in, nobody can look at this case. That's why I am fighting like I'm fighting. That's why I'm asking people to help with money. Money to be able to move forward, to be able to travel to these places in Columbus and Cincinnati and knock on their doors and ask them what the fuck's going on. Why is this happening in Fayette County? Why, I mean, I got enough evidence to show that they dropped the ball and that they made errors on this case. So, it is what it is. I'm trying hard. You guys don't understand. People like Linda, people like Holly, people like my wife, they know, my mom, they know how hard I've been trying. I mean, I have beat myself. I've gotten sick. I've had to take breaks from this. I have tried so hard to get this out. And, it pisses me off that these news stations want to do news about, like I said, I mean, every fucking day they've talked about this wall, building this wall. But they don't want to talk about what happened to this little girl. I think people need to know that it wasn't only just a fire, that my daughter was raped, and that they do have male DNA. And I think that needs to be out there. I think it needs to be told. When you hear that a child dies in a fire that's rolled in arson, okay? People, I mean, honestly, you can sit home and say, well, it could have been an arson. It might not have been. I mean, it's been 13 years. They ain't arrested nobody. But when you hear that a child was raped, and then you hear that they have DNA of a male, DNA that is internal DNA, that makes it a little different how people look at it. I mean, honestly, that makes a difference. It's sad. But honestly, when you hear, this child was raped and this child was set on fire and murdered, it's a big difference than just hearing she died in a house fire that was rolled in arson. Because that's all that's in the paper. There's nothing about the rape. There's nothing. And they know she was. And my newspaper people said they've done already enough stories on her, they ain't going to do no more. That's what the Record Herald said. They don't want to do no more stories on Mackenzie. Fine. But I guarantee you one thing. In the end of this, when I take down this fucking town and I put away the people that did this, don't fucking knock on my door and then want a story. Because I'm going to tell you to kiss my ass where the sun don't shine. He has to close the case. And that's what I'm saying. If you got nothing to hide, if you got nothing, you didn't do nothing wrong, then why does it matter who takes this case and looks at it? I mean, honestly, why would it matter? It doesn't. It doesn't matter who handles this case. As long as they bring the people that did this horrible crime to justice, it doesn't matter who has it. It doesn't matter. And when you wait almost a year to send her case files to BCI and have excuses every time to why you didn't send them, that tells me right there. That tells me either A, you're hiding something, or B, you're afraid of what I got that you don't have. But if you'd have done your job and you'd have took the time to make a trip to Jeffersonville and knock on fucking doors and ask people, was you up that night? Did you see anything? You'd have had those witnesses. You'd have had the evidence. If you'd have collected the evidence out of her room, you'd have had that. I wouldn't have the Care Bear. You would have that Care Bear. If you'd have done half of what I've done, you would have what I got. That's the truth. There's no other way to look at it. And there's no excuses to why. You can't sit there and say, well, My people weren't qualified. That was my only mistake. I should have had somebody else. You can't use that excuse now. You've been asked from millions of people to make this right and to change it, and you didn't do it. Before it got worse, before I started digging more and more your bullshit out, you could have fixed that problem way back. Way back. And then all these other problems would have never happened. And the ones that are guilty of what they did that night would be in prison and doing their time. Instead, as law enforcement, you're allowing that person that raped this child and killed her and set a house on fire to have the opportunity to do it again. So if it happens again, and then they find that person guilty, and then they tie it into my daughters, you're at fault for what happened the second time. Because you're allowing this person to run free just to hide what you did. We already know that you made errors. We already know you made mistakes. We already know you destroyed evidence. We already know all that. So go get them. Quit wasting our fucking time. Go get them. Because if you're waiting on me to do something stupid so that you can put me in prison and shut me up, that ain't going to happen. Because like I told you in the beginning of this, I don't want them dead. I want them in prison for the rest of their life, suffering like my little girl did that night. No, but my boys are grown now. I had custody of all three of my kids. My boys now both graduated. One of them's 19, the other one's 20. They're out on their own. They live their life. I try to keep them out of this as much as I can. But they're grown. My boys are grown. I made sure that I gave them the best life I could give them. I made sure, even though everything we've been through, that they graduated, got their diploma. And both my boys, I'm proud to say, they're out on their own. One's 20, and the other one's 18, going to be 19, the 19th of this month. And I'm proud of both of my boys. I'm still there for them. They still come when if they need me. They know I'm here for them. They know I'll protect them to extent. And anybody that knows me knows I have one son that likes to get in trouble, and I'm always there for him. But I have two smaller children, so I still got a long ways to go. But my two boys, her biological brothers, I have given them a life, and I protected them all these years, and now they're out on their own. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud of both of them. That's one thing I can say. I never gave up on my children. I fight for my kids, whether they're with my ex or not. I'm still part of their life, and I try to do everything I can. That's me. I'm the one that I'm one of these people that believe it ain't just the mother with the child. It takes two to make a baby. Without us, or without whatever you call it, where they freeze your stuff, but without it, you can't have a baby. So I believe that, it's 50-50 when it comes to children, whether they're in your life or not in your life. I actually get pissed when I see fathers that don't have nothing to do with their children, because they don't understand what they're missing out on. I have totes, probably 4 or 5 totes in my garage, and it's filled. I have everything my daughter Mackenzie made in school, every poem she wrote, every picture she drew. I have that. The mom has nothing. I have all that. I put her through school until she went and stayed with her mom and was murdered. She was with her mom 3 months and then was murdered. So, but I have all that. I can go in my garage, and I do a lot of times, and I can pull anything my daughter made, any poems and stuff, and I sit down and I read them. It's a joyful thing. So I get pissed when I hear that dads that say, well, I don't want nothing to do with my kid. Man, you don't know what you're missing. You honestly don't know what you're missing. But it goes both ways, too. There's moms out there that kill their children every day. There was a child just found not too long ago where they put a newborn, I think it was, in a lunchbox thing and set it on the side of the road. And, and it's sad because there's people out there that can't have children. No, she never had any more children. Thank God. Thank God. No, she never had any more children. But and there's women out there that can't have children. If you don't want that child, man, I'm positive there's somebody out there that I told my wife can't have any more kids, and I told her I would love to have one and another one. I love babies. I love the smell of a baby. I mean, it's the coolest thing. Now when they get into their teenage years, this happens. You go bald and you get gray. But man, they're awesome. And every kid is a different child. You can't raise all your kids the same way. Every kid has a different mind of their own. Every kid does everything differently. Yeah, she does have another daughter, and that daughter is 20-something years old. Her mom got her a house right there with her, and because of that, her daughter now told, I guess, the fire marshal or somebody in the authority that she pleaded the fifth that she would not testify against her own mom. Because I guess in the beginning of this, when she was younger, I think she was 11 or 12 when Mackenzie died, she told them some things about that weekend and that night, and now she stands behind her mom. And I can't change that. But like the fire marshal told me, it doesn't matter. Once you give a statement, it's locked in. And back then they believed her. She was a child. She had no reason to lie. So now that she don't want to, go against her own mom because her mom's giving her everything, that's between them. It's sad because eventually she's going to lose her mom. And it's going to happen. One way or another, it's going to happen. Whether it's during my time, because I know there's a lot of people still out there that will pick up where I leave off, that will fight the justice that I can't fight if something happens to me. And if not, then I know when at the end of this, when we meet our maker, I'll see it then. Yeah, her mom blamed her. Her mom actually blamed her for setting the fire. And the child wasn't even there. She said she left clothes on a heater, and that was a lie. And then after she realized that the fire marshal and them wasn't going to buy that story, that her daughter started the fire that wasn't even there. Her daughter already had been gone 3 days. She blamed the dog and said the dog knocked the heater over. And if you look back in some of my live feeds on my page or on YouTube, or in Justice for Mackenzie Taylor Branham, the murder of Mackenzie Taylor Branham, I do a live feed where I do kerosene and a heater, and where the mom said that the kerosene is what was the reason of fire and all that. I do a thing with that and prove that it wasn't kerosene and it wasn't diesel. And then I also have a demonstration where I put my hand through a bunch of windows to prove that the boyfriend didn't knock out the window and jump through his bedroom window because of the style of window it was. So there is demonstrations where I show certain things on there to their story of what they said happened that night. And they're pretty good demonstrations. And I've done that too, to prove that it wasn't diesel and it wasn't kerosene. And then I proved that the boyfriend didn't go through the window, because in the sheriff report he said he only had a little scratch, and it was very visible. You could barely see it, a scratch on his hand, and that was all the injuries he had. That was it. But according to the mom, he had all kinds of scars from breaking out the window, but that's not true. So, trust me, if there's something that I can do to prove that this didn't happen, I did it. And some people that's been following me for a while, they've seen these demonstrations. And like I said, I literally put my hand through a bunch of windows, the same kind of window that they had in that house, the same kind of glass, and I put my hands through them to prove a point why I believe this 6'2", 195-pound man didn't go through a window. I also prove that the kerosene was not what set the fire. Yeah, he was. He was too big to fit through the window. But you can go on those pages, YouTube, I think it might be on there. Sean's a buddy of mine. He puts all the videos on YouTube. There's Justice for Murdered Mackenzie Taylor Branham. That's a page. You can go on there. If you get accepted, you can go on there. I think that demonstrations are on there. And then there are on my page. I believe it was last year when I did it. So it was I think it was warm outside. So it was in the summer of 2017. But they're neat to watch, because no, that's not on the GoFundMe page. The GoFundMe page is just for me asking. I have a goal to reach a certain amount of money to do certain things with this case, to help pay for traveling and stuff. Because, like I said, there was a witness that I'm looking for that knew about the fire. There was somebody else that was questioned in Florida. So there's some things I still need to do. There's a trip to another state, I'm not going to mention it, that I want to go to and take some photographs, and that's going to help maybe with another. Here's the thing, with Mackenzie's case, there's actually 5 investigations going on with Mackenzie's case that are unsolved. There's 5 actual things that happened. There's the rape, the murder, the fire. There's her headstone being stolen. There's a letter that came to my house with no signature or nothing on it, that they found DNA on that letter. I'm trying to think what else there is under investigation. There's plaques that were stolen off my daughter's grave. I actually did a memorial garden, which it'll bloom this year. It's on the side of my house, a big memorial garden. A lot of women came and helped with the garden, build the garden. We planted flowers in the garden. People have brought statues and stuff like that and put in the garden. So that way I have my peace and quietness and enjoyment with my daughter over here, because if I go to her grave, something's stolen every time that I take something down there. So we did a memorial garden beside my house. It's beautiful in the summertime. It's got a pond and everything, and we do things over there. People bring stuff and put it in the garden for Mackenzie. That way it don't get stolen, and me and my family can enjoy it. But with all that said, man, I've been on here a while. I enjoyed this, you guys. Like I said, if you want to help with anything, there is a GoFundMe, Mackenzie GoFundMe page. If you want to help, I appreciate any help that comes in. I will still keep doing it. I'm going to probably do a live feed about every 2 or 3 days, just to keep the ones that are coming into this fresh with what's going on. I still have plenty of videos, plenty of audio tapes to play yet. There's still two more audio with the coroner in Montgomery County. There's one with the Fayette County and how me and him talk. There's the sheriff. There's the first deputy that arrived on the scene that went to the house and questioned the boyfriend. I mean, there's a lot that I want to share and that I'm going to be doing. But I'm going to break them down in pieces and everything. So God bless you guys. I love every one of y'all that follow Mackenzie's story and support Mackenzie. We are going to make this happen. This is her year. Justice for Mackenzie. Mackenzie's army is strong and keeps moving forward. Love you guys. Thank you.